where's it going? I guess that's a bigger question.
Where do you think it's going?
Yeah. I don't think anybody's got a plan in Washington right now, or in NATO. I don't think anybody knows. I think they're all being basically reactive, as opposed to, what's the end game here? What is the final way that we wrap this up? And I mean, look, the U.S. has spent, I don't know, as of the end of 2022, and that's almost a full year because it started in February. So almost in a full year, the U.S. spent about $50 billion in assistance, and about half of that is military aid, right, in a variety of forms, right? The HIMARS systems all the way to protective body armor, right? So it's all over the map in training. If you compare that, $50 billion in aid to, and so what's that, about $25 billion in military aid. If you compare that to previous year or the year before, we were probably spending on the Ukraine, $270 million in military assistance. That's it, right? So that ramp up is incredible. And then that doesn't include what the EU's put into it, what the UK's put into it, and everything else. So how do you back out of that, right? How do you say, okay, we're putting a Patriot missile battery in there, and France and we have agreed. I think we're looking towards more advanced armored technology. We're going to give them tanks that they've been hankering for. Hankering? I said hankering. And so that might be a Ukrainian word. I don't know. I have no idea where it's going to wrap up. Putin's not going to give up Crimea. So what does that mean? Well, you got to create some middle ground then, where it's not going to be a complete victory for the Ukraine, and that's going to make a lot of people unhappy who are just standing around waving Ukraine flags, right? And so where do you go from there? I don't know. Hopefully there's some serious negotiations happening off the radar screen, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of evidence to that effect. And Putin doesn't seem to show any interest in it. And he's been able so far to tamp down on the dissidents at home. And really, much like with China, the only thing Putin would really fear is losing power. And he loses power if he loses the population. And so far, that really hasn't happened. There's been protests. People unhappy with the sorry, that was
that's your phone.
That was my sports alert. I guess
you get a ta-ta-da-ta-da.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever there's something big happening in the world of sports. So anyway, I to answer your question in a very lengthy, rambling way, who knows where it goes? But it would be nice if we had more open discussion about it, at least in Washington, and open with our NATO allies about what's going to happen. We can't keep up, I don't think, this same pace of support. It seems unreasonable to think that we can. But
has there been any discussion as to like how long we do this for?
Not really. I think there's there's a general sense, because everybody's got ADD, there's a general sense of fatigue to some degree in some circles. But saying you want to know where it's going isn't saying that you're in support of Putin. And that's part of the problem. In today's world, if you say, well, so where is this all going? People say, well, fuck you. You're a Putin puppet. Well, no, fuck you. I just want to know what's happening. So,
yeah, it's weird like that, isn't it? I mean, it's so strange that you're either with them or against them, and you can't just be going, what are we doing? What